We all have heard about the so-called Russian invasion in Ukraine. And political analysts are expecting World War III. But what is really happening behind the scenes of media? Why would Russia do that out of a sudden? That's what we're going to know in today's video. On the 24th of February 2022, Russia launched a large-scale invasion of Ukraine, one of its neighbours to the southwest.
It marked a major escalation between the countries,
which had been in a state of conflict since 2014. Following Ukraine's revolution of dignity in 2014, Russia had annexed Crimea and Russian-backed separatist forces had seized part of the Donbas in eastern Ukraine, leading to an 8-year war in the region. Some reports called it the largest conventional warfare attack in Europe since World War II. The invasion was preceded by Russian military build-ups around Ukraine's borders from early 2021. Despite the build-ups, Russian officials from the 12th of November 2021 to the 20th of February 2022 repeatedly denied that Russia had plans to invade Ukraine. During the crisis, Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned the post-1997 enlargement of NATO as a threat to his country's security and demanded Ukraine be barred from joining the military alliance. He also expressed irredentist views, and questioned Ukraine's sovereignty. On the 21st of February 2022, Russia officially recognized the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, two self-proclaimed states controlled by pro-Russian forces in the Donbas. The following day, Russia's Federation Council unanimously authorized Putin to use military force outside Russia's borders, and Russia openly sent troops into the breakaway territories. Around 05:00 UTC+2. On the 24th of February, Putin announced a special military operation in eastern Ukraine. Minutes later, missiles began to hit locations across Ukraine, including the capital, Kyiv. The State Border Guard Service of Ukraine said that its border posts with Russia and Belarus were attacked. 2 hours later, Russian ground forces entered the country.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky responded by enacting martial law,
severing diplomatic ties with Russia, and ordering general mobilization. The invasion received widespread international condemnation, including new sanctions imposed on Russia, triggering the 2022 Russian financial crisis. Global protests took place against the invasion,
while protests in Russia were met with mass arrests,
both prior to and during the invasion. Various Western states have been providing Ukraine with arms and other materiel support. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine and Russia maintained close ties. In 1994, Ukraine agreed to abandon its nuclear arsenal. It signed the Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances on the condition that Russia, the United Kingdom, UK,
and the United States,
US, would provide assurances against threats or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of Ukraine. 5 years later,
Russia was one of the signatories of the Charter for European Security,
which reaffirmed the inherent right of each and every participating state to be free to choose or change its security arrangements, including treaties of alliance, as they evolve. Viktor Yanukovych, then Prime Minister, was declared the winner of the 2004 Ukrainian presidential election despite allegations of vote rigging by election observers. The results caused a public outcry in support of the opposition candidate, Viktor Yushchenko, and widespread peaceful protests challenged the outcome in what became known as the Orange Revolution. During the tumultuous months of the revolution, candidate Yushchenko suddenly became gravely ill, and was soon found by multiple independent physician groups to have been poisoned by TCDD dioxin. Yushchenko strongly suspected Russian involvement in his poisoning. After the Supreme Court of Ukraine annulled the initial election result, a rerun of the second round was held,
bringing Yushchenko and Yulia Tymoshenko to power and leaving Yanukovych in opposition.
In 2009, Yanukovych announced his intent to again run for president in the 2010 Ukrainian presidential election, which he won. The Euromaidan protests began in 2013 over the Ukrainian government's decision to suspend the signing of the European Union-Ukraine Association Agreement, instead choosing closer ties to Russia and the Eurasian Economic Union. Following weeks of protests, Yanukovych and the leaders of the Ukrainian parliamentary opposition signed a settlement agreement on the 21st of February 2014 that called for an early election. The following day, Yanukovych fled from Kyiv ahead of an impeachment vote that stripped him of his powers as
president.
Leaders of Russian-speaking eastern Ukraine declared continuing loyalty to Yanukovych, leading to pro-Russian unrest. The unrest was followed by the annexation of Crimea by Russia in March 2014 and the war in Donbas, which started in April 2014 with the creation of the Russia-backed quasi-states of the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics.
Russian troops were involved in the conflict, although Russia formally denied this.
The Minsk agreements were signed in September 2014 and February 2015 in a bid to stop the fighting, although ceasefires repeatedly failed.